It's showtime, folks.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Into the Music. I'm here with Greg. Konnichiwa, Greg-san. How are you?
Konnichiwa? Is that what you just said to me?
Yeah.
Is that, Konnichiwa? Bing Crosby had that in a Christmas song. Konnichiwa, it's a bright way of saying that. Anyway, is that hello? No, it's not.
Yeah, it's hello in Japanese.
Yeah. I'm doing okay. I wish I could be clever and coming back to you with I'm doing okay, some sort of crazy language, but no, it's just boring. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
So, I understand you have a beautiful tune for me to listen to.
I do. A beautiful tune? I don't know.
Guessing.
In the eye or the ears of the beholder. The West Coast pop art experimental band. I had to catch my breath. You ever hear that group?
I wonder what they're about.
Yeah. They give you just so little about like who they are.
Yeah, if only they were clear. This could be anything. Is it shuffle? No, never heard of them.
Thanks. Yes. Well, there's a smell of incense in the air with this band because that's the name of the song, Smell of Incense.
Oh. Stranger than night, Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
So go check out that smell and report back.
Still as the shadows of stone, she stood on the edge of my mind. I tried to push her away. I shut and locked the door. Her eyes grew large and asking, and the smell of incense filled her room.
I have to say, this is a lot more gentle than I was expecting from a band with the name of the West Coast Pop Art Experimental Band, but I guess it's all relative as to what was experimental then. Yeah, this is really pleasant, really nice, sort of hippie, almost psychedelic. American West Coast, mid-late 60s. Yeah, really nice. I don't know what was right at the start. Was that a mandolin going away? It's interesting that if you listen to this in headphones, there's stuff going on at left channel, right channel, and then the bit where the guitars crashed in just central, which was actually quite a nice effect. It sort of, and then it sort of, I thought it was going to break into something a bit heavier, and it's just gone back to the more gentle stuff. So we shall see how it progresses.
She stood in the ever-present fullness of expectation. What happened to her childhood dreams? The sidewalk tomorrow. And the smell of incense filled her room.
Like that.
She stood.
Got the cue then, it went from centre to back out to left and right. That was lovely. It didn't really explode, but it sort of crept up on you. The bass was really nice. It wasn't complicated, but it was just constant and pure. Lovely guitar work without, shredding it. Just really nice, and the drumming was superb. But it rather than crashing and sort of punctuating the sentences, it was just flowing almost. It would come in and out. Yeah, that was really. Oh, you're gonna hate me for this, but I'm gonna go back a bit because I just want to hear that again. Oh, that was really good.
as still as the shadows of stone. She stood on the edge of my mind. I tried to push her away. I shut and locked the door. Her eyes grew large and asking, and the smell of incense filled her room. 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 And the smell of incense. And the smell of incense. And the smell of incense. Smell of incense. Smell of incense. And the smell of incense. Smell of incense. And the smell of incense. Smell of incense.
I think Crazy Mandolin Man went to sleep after the first 8 bars, and then someone woke him up at the end, and he was a bit grumpy. He went mental there. And then, poof, it just stopped. Yeah, this was interesting. Back to Greg.
So what did you think about WCPAEB?
It sounds like one of the stupid American, no offense, radio stations with all those initials and everything. Oh, it gets me. Yeah, I like this. It was really, as they say in the sports, a game of two halves. So I think I said in the reaction, I was expecting something a bit more experimental at the start, and it was very gentle. This sort of West Coast hippie-ish, psychedelic-ish sort of sound from the mid-60s, birds like, and it was nice and pleasant. I would say it's not something I gravitate to very much. I wouldn't pick it out, but if it's on, I'll definitely listen to it. It's nice. I think if you're in the right mindset, it's lovely, but it can be a bit twee as well. But it was nice. It was very gentle. And the really nice vocals and harmonies, I didn't really listen to the lyrics too much, to be fair. And then the guitar came in. I was like, it's ramping up. And then it went away again. And then they were back to the sort of gentle stuff. And I was, expecting it to kick in at any point, but it didn't crash in. In that midsection, it kind of crept up on you bit by bit. The guitar started going, and it was a beautiful guitar. It was so good. But what really stuck with me afterwards, thinking about it, was the drumming was amazing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't caveman drumming, it wasn't, God bless his soul, John Bonham, really, but it was coming through in waves and out again. And it was so matching the sort of, the flow of the music. It would just come in and I absolutely loved it. Pulled it back, listened to it again. It was just fantastic. At the start, there was a bit of, I'm thinking mandolin, something like that. And then
I think so.
Yeah. And it was beautiful. And then right at the end, he came back in angrier and crazier than ever. He really went full blast.
Yeah.
But the other thing about it was the bass was so beautiful, because I don't think he played that many notes. It wasn't a complicated bass, but it was always there. It was quite soothing, but it was really clear, the bass, and you could feel it all the time. And I really enjoyed it, even though I'm not like Andy, the bass player, so I couldn't tell you how wonderful it was. But it was just, to my ears, it was perfect. I really enjoyed it.
The bass is really good. Yeah. The instrumentation in the whole song, just spot on. Yeah.
They also did something very interesting with the mix. So there was a lot of panning left to right, listening to it on headphones. And so for the gentle sort of, poppy hippie stuff, it was kind of left and right. And when it went to the more sort of rocky stuff, it all centered. So it kind of drew your attention to the middle. Yeah. And I thought that, and it can be seen as a bit of a sort of novelty, but actually it worked really well. It really focused you in. This is the bit, and then it's back to the da
Yeah.
da 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 da. And I really love that. Actually, I really love that. It was great, really good.
What I love about that musical sort of interlude thing is that it's not just like a 30-second, maybe close to a minute solo, you know. It goes
No.
like 2 minutes, two
Yeah,
and a half, which I love. And you're right. It's, you know, you may psychedelic, you know, you got that psychedelic sound, you know, you're thinking, you know, I'm going to be walloped with something 60s guitar crazy kind of frenetic type of, like a lot of solos that you were hearing back then. And it was more on the kind of, yeah, it's like, I wouldn't say about the softer side, but definitely on the more restrained, you know, more restrained. But I think you should listen again. I know you said you pulled it back in the reaction. Give it another listen again, because that bass work, yeah, he's not doing anything innovative. And that's not a knock, you know, because bass work, you don't have to be Chris Squire all the time, you know. I mean, you know, to have effective bass, you know, it's like, what notes you hitting? How in tune are you with the whole band? Maybe you're leading the way. What's the sound like? You know, I mean, it's just, you know, there's all these different avenues that you can take, right, as a musician and with your instrument to be effective, you know, to actually stand out. What I love about his bass is that the drum is going crazy, right? I love it. It's like this flowing kind of just rolling and just, you know, but the bass player and the guitarist, they're kind of like playing with each other here. They're kind of going back and forth, you know? So you hear these notes here like that, and then the bass is actually kind of like doing things. It's kind of like, you know, it's almost like having a catch, you know? And then, you know, I'm gonna throw it back to you, this kind of interaction back and forth that I think is so effective. And they're doing that again for 2.5 minutes as the drummer is like, well, don't forget about me, and just doing crazy stuff. That's what drew me, because it's really interesting. I stumbled upon a song and I love the psychedelic part, you know, that beginning part, you know, she said, da, 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 da. You know, it's kind of like you know, it's kind of, I got a little bit of a Devo kind of sound, like how they used to sing the vocals almost like really straight, you know, but I mean, that's the only kind of, you know, what reminded me about them. But it was just kind of like the vocals kind of interesting. And then I kind of just stumbled like, wait a minute, this music is just going on, it's stretched on. And if you know me by now, I love music that you can just recite, you know, it's kind of on sort of playback. I love that. I never get bored with stuff like that, you know, especially if it's like when it plays back, it's a little different, and it plays back again, it's a little different, you know. I love it because what, you know, you hooked me with that first go around. I like it. I love that. And then when you do it again, well, I liked the first time, so yeah, I want to hear it again. But oh, that's really cool, and it just builds. And I love stuff like that. And I feel like this is one, you know, it fits right in with that. Yeah, yeah.
I thought I didn't say it, but I thought the way the guitar went through that section, it was almost Pink Floyd-ish in a way. The way it sort of went through and built was really, it was so unexpected as well compared to the first part of the song. So so effective. It was great.
You know, the first part and the end part, right? They're like matching the like bookends, right? It's a very dated, you know, they kind of, to me, they date themselves big time with those parts. And then the middle part, yeah, you can still think like it's somewhere in the back, but I don't know. If I just heard that middle part, I don't know if I would actually be able to tell you that it was 1967, you know, which that was the year.
Wow.
So 1967, actually, my understanding is that it was released as a single. It was meant to be as a single, and that released as a single in 68. But the album that it was on, it was October of 67. So these guys, they formed in 65, Los Angeles, California. I'm looking at Wiki just to remind me of a few things. You mentioned the Byrds, and Wiki is actually saying they resembled a traditional Byrds-esque folk rock ensemble. So that's really, you were spot on, man. That's awesome. And Bob Markey, aspiring musician. He actually, I believe he led the group. And you had Michael Lloyd, rhythm guitar, Sean Harris, bass guitar. I mean, names that people probably like, they don't know. But they put out an album called Volume 2, Breaking Through. That was their third album. And it's really funny, like Wiki is saying here, it is considered one of the pinnacles of the band's music catalog. The instrumental interplay between Morgan's distorted guitar playing coincided with Sean Harris's heavy bass sound. And what's really interesting as they get into Smell of Incense and they're talking about the bass and the guitar interplaying, they don't talk about the drumming. They don't mention it. Like, what are they, dopes? Like, whoever wrote this, Wiki, because the drumming is like, is amazing. It's so great. Yeah. The song wouldn't have been, as much as I love the interplay between the bass and the guitar, it wouldn't have been what it was without the drumming. So, but yeah, man, there's another song too that I was thinking about giving you or Andy. I might give Andy. So we'll see. We'll see how, if this breaks 100 views. But cool. Any final word on this?
I'm amazed it's 1967, actually. I mean, I would guess you could from the first bit, but from the second bit, that could be any time in the 70s.
Yes. Yeah.
So they were very advanced, in terms of what they managed to create then. That's
and
mind-blowing,
produced well. And produced really well too. Yeah. Yeah.
It's really advanced. Yeah, it's impressive. It really is. Yeah.
In a way,
I love it.
You could say that these guys were influences, right, on other groups, because if they're putting this out in 67, I mean, you got a lot of bands coming in at that time, Jefferson Airplane and Jimi Hendrix, and I mean, right down, they're all latching onto the psychedelic sound. I mean, the Beatles kind of paved the way, right? And Pink
Floyd,
but these guys and Pink Floyd. But for these guys to kind of like go under the radar, I only found out about them like years and years later. And the music is real. It's real. There's real substance to this, Again, it's interesting. The beginning part is like, it's kind of like if you just had a little bit of the middle part, a little bit like a 30-second sort of thing, that could have been a tradition, like a sort of typical 60s song, very psychedelic. You throw it away, But for them to kind of like, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not going to open it up Wiki again, but if I'm not mistaken, I think there's 2 different versions. Yeah, the single is actually a shortened version. So that long interlude, that's not, that's like that 30-second solo thing. It's only on the album that's what you get here. So there you go. Yeah.
Leave it to the record companies to screw up a good song.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, John, this is great. So I'm so glad you liked the song. And folks out there, what do you think? Anyone out there who goes back with this band, went to high school with them. Yeah, let me know. And with that said, we'll see every one of you on the next episode of Into the Music.